Okay, I'm hot. Good evening, everybody. This is the Plasma Frontier. We have some information that we would like to share with you tonight and hopefully broaden your horizons. Frazzle is going to explain everything. We're going to mute our mics and turn off our cameras. Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Joe and Cleve, and all of you who are subscribed to this channel. We want to first of all apologize for technical difficulties. We have a bunch of links and videos to share with you, and we're running into a problem of getting them uploaded to the YouTube, but we should have that cleared up shortly. This video, we're going to go through some other concepts, kind of bring you up to speed to where our team is right now. For the rest of you, remember that the videos that we'll be presenting that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I believe, those are a couple of weeks old. And so there's been some new developments and some major new ideas on how these systems work in the last few days. But you kind of need to come up through the channels, go up through the previous videos to see how we got to this understanding. We'll do the best we can to get you all the supporting videos and information that we got along the way. And it's been a tremendous, exciting ride up to this point. We are in the process of actually building several devices. None of them have been tested. They haven't been bench tested. But it's looked very promising. I'm really thankful to our peer review groups that have looked over our data and commented and basically green-lighted us for the build stage, which is what we're going into the first part of next year. Let's see. If you find our series valuable, we could use a donation. The cost of the Zoom and some of the other file sharing services are costing us a lot more money than what we had anticipated. If what we're presenting is valuable to us, send us a few bucks. We're not asking for a lot of money. We're just trying to cover our expenses. Thank you very much, and let's move on to the lesson for today. And notes out here. We're going to show you the next, as I alluded to in the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 videos. Basically, they're live chats in Zoom that our team had, and you'll see as we got through each of the breakthrough moments, the aha moments, and we hope that you have them too, as we did going through it. The systems will not work if you just assemble them from the first couple of 3 videos. We did not intentionally make mistakes, but we did. We're calling them safety switches now, and we are removing them as we progress into the build. There's everything that you do in line of preparation for the final build will be in order. There's nothing that we've found that actually says scrap the whole thing and start over. That was the fun part about it, is that as we found the new glitches in our thinking and understanding, that it was a simple correction, and the system is looking absolutely amazing in its simplicity and in what it appears is how it's going to function. What we have in the works is basically in the build right now is one of the car units, and that is basically based on the Peruvian system. That particular group has done an excellent job of getting to a certain level in the development of the car units. We've made a few adjustments, and I'll tell you right up front right here that the car units need to be mounted vertically, not horizontally. And that's as a tip to all the other builders that are working on their car units. You may want to try changing the orientation of how you mount them to your car. We're finding this to be super important. So give that basically if it was horizontal, tip it up vertically. We're looking at 2 different static core models, and Joe's building one, I'm building one. They're a little bit different. We're finding that as we go into the build stage that there are construction glitches. It's like building a very expensive car. Do you attach the engine to the transmission before you put it in the car, or do you put the spark plugs into the engine before it gets mounted into the frame, or can you add the spark plugs afterwards? Some of these we're finding that there's got to be places where we have to seal the units, which means that once they're sealed, we can't get back into them. So our blueprints have been modified. Cleve is getting the corrections done as we speak. It's going to take him a few days before he gets those done, but we're going to have some very nice 3D renderings for you all, and I'm sure you'll find it much appreciated, because we're no longer in 2-dimension. We're working in 3-dimensional models. We should have one generator model in production here on the bench test coming up, hopefully about the first or second week in January. And we're pretty certain that we might have the flight system and going. We've got our ideas haven't changed that much from the first one. The second, in this 5-week period, it's still moving along. It looks like the flight system might be something that's quite viable, or at least in the way of making the car vehicles a little bit lighter, so you get more mileage out of your gasoline and diesel. The one aha moment that we had this last week is that we realized that we probably have solved the electric motorcycle soda can challenge that Mr. Kesh gave us back 1.5 years ago in July, when the Alex beads came out. It's taken me a long time to get my head around it. I've made several attempts at it, and it was just recently, with the help of Joe and Cleve, that we've managed to shrink the size of the motorcycle soda can unit down into something that's, we think's probably going to work. At this point, it's all probabilities. There's nothing for certain. So with that, we're going to go into today's lesson. We talk about, I've talked with this in a couple of groups, but we're talking about plasma fields and how they work. And I kind of like using my orange as an example. Your oranges, you have basically a skin on the outside. And if we're looking at shelter, if we're looking at the spaceship or something like that, we're looking for this protective outer coat to form. And that's just a field interaction from the inside. How you set up your fields dictates your shape and dictates the function. In the case of the orange, you have your core. I have my pen here. And that doesn't change very much. It's actually, a lot of times, it's kind of hollow. It has the spot where it's attached to the tree at the top. And the seeds are located on the inside, one on each side of them. And those, I'm calling the gravitational core of this plasma field. And that's where your plasma fields are then wrapped around, the magnetic portion of it, the expanded magnetic. In the orange, this section of the toroid, this fleshy part, is your expanded magnetical. Okay? And that's, if you were to say we put our maggrav in the center of our room, and the outsides of your walls are your field containment, then the place where you live is in where this fleshy part of the oranges. So this is where we get our nurturing, we get our food, our energy from the maggrav units inside your home. You're actually filling the entire room that it's in, and possibly the entire building, with a plasmatic field, just like this orange is filled in the center of the around the peel. The interesting thing about the orange is if we cut it the other direction, and let me get the section of that. In citrus, there's 9 segments inside your orange. Each one has a seed in the middle, meaning that it's formed a plasmatic barrier between each of the fields. These fields don't interact very much. You don't get juice from one section going to the other. If you set up your maggravs, a series of maggravs in the center, then your toroid fields could possibly end up being very similar in shape as the orange. Okay, if you've got 9 seeds or 9 MagGrav units in the middle, there, and that forms your gravitational core, then your magnetic field would be on the outside, and you'd have these sections running up or little rooms forming all the way around. It sets up still the field around the outside edge for the formation of the skin, but you don't have quite the interaction. If you take and cross-cut, let's say, an apple, you'll find that there's 5 of these seeds in the middle, usually in a star formation in the inside, like a regular star. And I wish I had an apple here today, but I don't. The expanded magnetical has all joined together in the apple. It's the same as it does in a peach and the same as it does in a cherry. Where the peach and the cherry have a single seed, the apple has 5 or thereabouts 5 or more in them. The expanded magnetical is all open. It's like an open concept construction in building, or it's a big open warehouse. But in that, the whole thing is then filled with your plasma, or in the case of the orange of the apple, this is your ganses that nourishes it. Why am I showing you this? Well, if your seed is the gravitational in the middle, and the fleshy part that we eat is the magnetical that's expanding, that happens when the fruit is still attached to the tree. Okay? And when that fruit separates from the tree, then the magnetical field collapses and feeds the seed on the inside, and that provides all the water and sugars and nutrients and ganses and stuff for the formation of an entirely new orange tree or a new apple tree. What we eat in the fruit is basically a collapsing magnetic field that we are using for our energy as humans. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, was the shape of your plasma fields dictates the function of your devices. And so by taking some time and taking a look at how your fields are going to interact with each other in 3 dimensions, you can get a prediction of what you're going to have in the line of a machine or a device with using plasma. The next thing when we take a look at is the dilemma of thought. And all of us have gone through these stages where we've been making a device and we're almost to the point of assembly, and for some reason we sabotage it, or we say, oh my goodness, this isn't going to work, or we do something that we decide we're just going to put it on the shelf and look at it, we're not going to do anything on it. It's that fear of the unknown. And I equate it to a bird's nest. And you have mother bird and papa bird taking care of 3 baby chicks, and they're in the nest. Now the nest isn't big enough for all 3 baby chicks. And so there's a pushing and shoving of the brothers and sisters in the nest, and one falls out onto the ground and basically dies because it doesn't have any wings yet. It took the flight too early. It got thrown out of the nest. The second one that is in line is usually bigger than its younger brother or sister, and he budges around and he knocks around and he gets all the food and he gets his feathers a few days earlier, and he could have been hatched, his egg could have been laid a few days earlier than his brother or sister that's with him in the nest. But that first baby bird is now standing on the edge of the nest looking down, and he's flapping his wings and getting all exercised up, getting ready to fly. And you'll hear the parents off on the other limbs calling to it, saying, come on, fly, come on, fly. And there's that trepidation, and it just sits there and he kind of shakes, and he looks over the edge and he looks down. And then at one point, he spreads his wings and glides out. Now, the first flight is not really good all the time. It's sometimes just a glide to the ground, and he survives the bounce and walks around and finds a spot where he can get up on a limb or a branch or something and flap his wings and take off. But he's got a little more courage. He's taken the first leap, he's taken the first bound, and he's survived. And within a few hours, he's out flying with the other birds, catching his own bugs or getting his own seeds or getting his own fruit or whatever the little bird eats. And his younger brother or sister is still in the nest. And that one will be in the nest sometimes 3-4 days longer, even though it was ready to go to flight now a couple hours or a day later than its brother who is now flying. And the parents will come in and they'll still feed that one, and he'll still stand on the nest and look over the edge and go back and go through the same things that his older brother did that actually was flying, but won't fly. And the thing is that one has seen both the one fall and die on the ground and the one that is now flying up high in the sky. Both items are terrifying to this little bird who hasn't figured out that it too can fly. But in time, it's coaxed out of the nest and it flies. So the moral of the story is basically don't get in a big rush to be the first one to fly, because sometimes you're the one that got booted out of the nest and you might just bounce on the ground and you won't make it. I want you to be really, really safe when you're doing this project. I want you to be diligent in your notes and your thoughts and making certain that you understand each of the components of the device as you assemble them, so that you can run through it from one end to the other in your mind mentally, how the currents are supposed to flow, how the plasma is supposed to flow, what the interactions of it. I want you to be absolutely certain about your devices before you decide to take them out for the test flight. If you can, set them up so that you can be a slight distance away from them, because as we don't know what they're going to do, because our team hasn't had a chance to test them yet either. So take very good notes. I encourage all of you to work in teams of at least 3 so that you can bounce ideas off of each other, that you can go over our videos and say, aha, I see where they made the mistake. It took us a few days to find these mistakes. But I'm hoping that you will find them and find them faster. It's quicker after somebody has gone through it once themselves and you can see the end result and see what it is that you're building than it is to do the original design. Our team has been working with basically original designs, and we've been looking to see, after we've come to the aha, I think we've got it, is there anything else in science or in hieroglyphics or whatever that confirms that what we've got in a practical model matches with some of the theoreticals or some of the symbols or whatever that's been left over from ancient societies or other artists or ones that are in the sci-fi industry that have come up with these grand ideas, or those that have remote viewed different things. We're all tapping into we call it a collective consciousness. This is where creativity is formed. And the idea seems to come from someplace out in the ether, filters in through our skulls and nestles down into our brain and into our core. And then we convert that into verbiage, into voice sounds. Our group, we call it monkey chatter. We make monkey noises that we make with our mouth. And to drawings and pictures and renderings, and into models, into 3D designs that take that etherical thought, that creative thought, and put it into reality. Now, the models may only be models. They may not be the actual working item. It gives you something that you can hold in your hand and see how the system goes together. The working model, it's kind of like Ford Motor Company. I use them as an example all the time. They don't build a brand new car in its entirety. They build a mock-up, a little model of it first, and see if all the doors and things will fit in that perspective. And it's easier to see it in a 3D toy model than it is on a two-dimensional drawing. So with that, please take a look at the attached videos below. If you feel that in the future that what we're doing as a team is worthwhile and valuable to you, please drop us a few shekels in the donation bucket to keep this channel going. Any questions from Cleve or from Joe at this time?
No, I believe you covered everything. You're on point. You're precise. There's nothing for me to say. I mean, it sounds stupid because you do a great job.
Thanks. It's because I got a good team. You guys coach me before I get out here and start talking, and I look like the smartest of the monkeys. And no, I'm the 100th of the 100 monkeys. I'm the back of the class. I figure if I get it, then everybody else can get it. If I can explain it to myself, then everybody else can understand it, because I don't think I'm that bright. Cleve.
No, well done. Once again, thank you very much. I've nothing to ask or add. It's it's another step on the journey, isn't it?
It really is. Hopefully, we'll get the technical difficulties done and get our other videos, or 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I believe, are in the can. They just, I'm really good with nanocoding. I'm really good with GANs, and I'm really good in visualizing toroidal fields of plasma. But when it comes to uploading to the internet, oh, I stupid monkey. I just stupid. And I think I have it, and then it sits there and grinds for hours and hours and hours and doesn't do anything. So bear with us, folks. We're learning as we go, and we wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the other great festivals of this around the planet. And remember, we are basically just a big sack of water, that has different colored bag on the outside we call skin, but inside we're all one of the same. And we really appreciate all of you, and happy holidays.